Well, hello. Hello. We are back, people. Make sure we're all good. Make sure we see myself go live. Gotta check this. Refresh. No. Boom. Okay, cool. Looks like we're good to go. Senior Bowl, day 3, last day of the practices, I believe, before the game. Pretty good week. Lots of guys helped raise their stock. And we've talked about a decent amount of them, and there's some guys that I think, kind of hurt their stock. I think there was more people raising their stock than hurting their stock. But definitely a fun time of the year. Different position groups. I feel like that, and that's, I think, one of the good things with the Dolphins have so many needs that, at every position, especially before free agency actually happens, almost every position group we gotta keep a decent eye on because there's at least some kind of need there. And we live. We got some clips here. Let me make sure we got it. I don't think I showed this clip. This was from yesterday. But this is Jonah Savanaya. I don't want to say his last name, sorry. But he's from Arizona. Jonah from Arizona. Definitely one of the guys in this class that I like at guard for the Dolphins. Because he has a physical demeanor. He played tackle and guard at Arizona. But I like seeing this. You can see some foot quickness there. I like how his feet are tied with hands. Playing with some decent bend as well. He's got a good anchor. And he can be a bully in the run game. Usually when I've seen him have problems, it's maybe due to him, oversetting. And that can become more of a problem at tackle. That's why I think some of the problems he would have become less of a problem at guard. And he's not an elite athlete, but I think he's a good enough athlete for what you would want to be playing, especially on the interior line. And he's got good arm length. This is a good rep jump setting into someone too, because Dolphins are a heavy jump set team. They probably jump set as much as anyone, I've heard that we talked to Milrow, but I don't want him on the team. He sucks. Bama QBs are trash besides her, and I would love that Zabel kid at hey, all I'll say is I don't like Milrow, but scout the player, not the helmet. And we have a Bama QB on the team, and I don't even think Hurts is very good, to be honest. I know he's in the Super Bowl, but Hurts is the biggest weakness on that Philadelphia team. And I don't think it's I know but when you're at the Senior Bowl, you kind of meet with everybody. So I would take all of the reports about meetings with a grain of salt, because you at least have a exchange of contact with every player there. Then you have more formal meetings with certain players. I'm not putting too much stock in any of the whole thing. Well, McCord's at the Shrine Bowl. I mean, it doesn't matter. Meeting with someone doesn't mean you're interested in them. A lot of teams actually meet with people and never draft them. Some teams meet with people and they do draft them. So I don't really put too much stock in the meeting people things. But apparently what I heard, the best quarterback at the Senior Bowl was Tyler Show from Louisville. I heard pretty much all the other QBs were struggling. I don't know. I mean, I like McCord. Honestly, I'm avoiding every QB in this draft. I've talked about it. I'm at the point where I don't think any of the QBs are that good. If you want to, I would get a veteran QB, and then if you blow it up next year, then you go into the 2026 draft trying to get your actual quarterback. Because in this class, you're probably not finding any high level talent quarterbacks. Maybe some of them develop into solid level quarterbacks, but if I'm going for a new quarterback, I'm trying to get a top of the top, Like the LSU QB. Yeah. Well, that's Nussmeier. He's not in this class. Do I like who political? I wouldn't necessarily say I'm holding out for Arch, because Arch might not even declare in 2026. Arch, from what I've heard, Arch wants to stay for 2 more years, and he would be a 2027 guy. It's just I don't think this class is very good, and we don't know exactly. I think there's a lot of talent in next year's class, but pretty much all of them have to take like a next step. Like you said, the LSU quarterback, I do like him, but he needs to take another step because his decision making was a problem this past season. Maybe another year can work with that. And then there's other guys that are intriguing too, like Aller and Nico from Tennessee, but they all have their issues. So it will be, I think another season would help them out a lot. I think this class is just not good quarterback wise. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty much. Yeah, I probably wouldn't take a. Like, I don't even know. Like, I feel like I wouldn't take a QB till day 3. Like, I'm not. I think once you get to day 3, I don't really care what position you play. I'm just taking best player available. Once it's like, especially day 3, it's like, even if it's not like the type of player, like I've talked about it. Like, I don't want us like any more smaller receivers or like those F tight ends because we have an F tight end. I want like a Y tight end. But really, like if you get to day 3, like last year with day 3, we didn't need any more small receivers. But Malik Washington fell to the 6th round. It's like, hey, someone that falls that far might as well take the good player, even if it's not exactly what you need. Oh, you're talking about Milrow. Yeah, Milrow is just. I think he has a lot of struggles. I think he struggles with accuracy, and he struggles with a lot of like the big quarterbacks thing. He's obviously very like athletically gifted. He's like an insane athlete. I think he struggles with like consistent accuracy, getting through his progressions, footwork within the pocket, playing on time. But yeah. I don't think he'll go Gabriel in the 3rd. I could see them going Gabriel on day 3 if they want a backup, because he is like. But realistically, a lot of these QBs like would all be like we're talking about McCord and like Gabriel. They would all be good scheme fits, but they're all they would be backup quarterbacks to do it for sure. He's not intriguing to you? I mean, he's not that much different from McCord. They're both like timing accurate, not the strongest arm type quarterbacks. But which day 2 and 3 cornerbacks do you think suit the Dolphins in addition to Parrish? Yeah, we're going to talk about Parrish because Parrish, I got some clips on Parrish today. Parrish, one of my guys. But yeah, some other cornerbacks. I can't even talk. Hold on, let me get where I need to be. There we go. Okay. Maxwell Hairston, the Kentucky corner. He's actually been, I think he sat out today's practice because he had a really good first 2 days. But he's a good, I think, fit for what Weaver wants to do, because Weaver likes to run a decent amount of like cover 3, and I think he's a good zone. Like he plays zone and man pretty well. I also think he can potentially play nickel if you really wanted him to, but he's more of an outside guy. Good short area quickness. Very comfortable in like off man zone coverages as well. Ball skills are there. He's very scrappy. He understands like leverage. I think he's got good like feet. He stays square. Very good versus double moves. Like he plays top down, can stay over the top. Hairston's a guy I like. Any other day 2s? If Thomas fell to day 2, the Florida State corner, but he might go day 1. So Trey Amos, the Ole Miss corner, who I think will probably go on in round 2 somewhere, is another good name. He's a good a cover 3 corner that can play zone and man. I like guys that can play a mix. Like they're like pretty equally good in zone and man, and he's one of those guys. And then I don't know if he'll go day 2. He might go day 3. But Mac McWilliams from UCF, his teammate Brandon Adams is also having a strong Senior Bowl. Personally, I wouldn't take Dart because he's going to go higher than he should. QBs always go higher than they should, and I just don't think Dart's good. He doesn't have elite traits either. Like if you're going to take a quarterback that's like you're trying to bet on upside, I would want them to have elite traits. Like he has some pretty good traits, but he doesn't have an elite arm. He's not an elite athlete. Like he's plus in those areas, but he's not like elite. And then he also struggles with like a lot of the quarterback things, like consistent accuracy, getting through progressions. His footwork in the pocket is atrocious. I've talked about 13 options. I also think like certain D tackles are in play. Like Walter Nolan had a really strong Senior Bowl. I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins really like Walter Nolan. He's like an Ed Oliver type, or Kenneth Grant. He's more of like a big nose. I think those D tackles are in play at 13. Just to talk D tackles, I wanted to talk about them. Nolan, some inconsistencies on film. That's why he's not my favorite player. But like you can't argue with the traits he has explosive wise. Like his explosiveness and power at the point of attack are just undeniable. Now, if he can just do it on a more consistent basis, like playing with pad level technique, having more of a plan as a pass rusher, like damn, he could be really good. Yeah, I like Zabel a lot. Just because they haven't talked to any O-line does not mean they're not interested in O-line. I'm telling you, like, the meetings with players actually just, like, really doesn't matter. Like, there's no, like, history. Like, every year the Dolphins have done something different. Sometimes there's years they met with players and they didn't draft a single player they met with. And then there's been years where they drafted players only that they met with, you know? So, like, there's no, like, consistency to the meetings and stuff. What do you think about people comparing Walter Nolan to Aaron Donald? Yeah, I wouldn't compare anyone to Aaron Donald. Donald is an absolute freak. He does play the same sort of, like, he's the same position and sort of same, like, sort of the same play styles, but Donald was a different level. A running back I like? Yeah, I think the Dolphins, there's like a few different RBs. I'm kind of looking for more of a bigger back that could potentially do some short yardage stuff. We talked about Scatabo. DJ Giddens is another pretty big back that's fluid. Taj Brooks. If they wanted to take one higher, there's obviously some good guys at the top, but I'm thinking more day 3. I really like Travion Henderson, but he'll go day 2. The Virginia Tech running back's actually pretty interesting. He's had a pretty strong Senior Bowl from my understanding. Don't know how to pronounce his name, Bashal Tootin, but he's had a pretty strong Senior Bowl, and he's an outside zone runner. I don't know. And I mean, bro, the tight end class is so good. The tight end class is ridiculous. Like, I know I love the idea of Warren at 13. I've talked about that a lot. But, like, if they don't take it, like, I'm totally fine with that. But because of how good the tight end class is. But I really do think, like, they have to come away with one of these, like, top 7-ish tight ends in this class. Come away with one of them. Because this class is stacked. One of the best tight end classes I've seen. Maybe the best I've seen. Stock up. Obviously, let me see. Obviously, Zabel would be stock up. Pretty big stock up. I need to see the list of names. I think Jackson Slater is another big stock up guy. Sacramento State. Got to give him his credit. Carson Vincent, another offensive lineman, Alabama A&M, from what I've seen. And I think Elijah Arroyo stock up. Jack Besh stock up. Darius Alexander, the Toledo tight end, or Toledo D tackle. I really liked him before this, and it seems like he's getting a lot of recognition now. He's stuck up. Stock down, it looks like Wyatt Millam had a struggle time. I think the one LSU guard, not Frazier, the other one, definitely stock down. He was rough. There's some other people that were stock up on the O-line, like Anthony Belton, Ariante Urshiri. Yeah. Who's your top 7 tight ends in order of preference? Okay, I'm going to say 1, Warren. This is not the exact order I would rank them as players, but this is the exact order I would rank them in terms of fitting what the Dolphins need. I would say 1, Warren. Oof. 2/3. I have Helm and Taylor very close, so I'm going to say after that, Helm and Taylor. basically neck and neck, but I'll say Helm slightly leading. After that, don't think he's the best fit personally, but he's too good compared to the rest of the guys. So I'll say Loveland 4. And then probably Arroyo over Fannin, and then Fannin, Terrence Ferguson, Jackson Haas. And that's 7, I think. Lampkin Twitter stock up, yeah. No. I mean, I definitely have no problem with the Dolphins interviewing anyone, to be honest. Let's see. Here's a nice little clip. Let me go here. We got some red zone one-on-ones. This is probably my least favorite part of this game. Like Kyle Williams, who had a strong Senior Bowl, but like, what is this release? This release is never gonna fly in an actual game. Like great play by Thomas, by the way. Great patience at the line. He's a very good press man corner. He's gonna go first round. And Kyle Williams had a lot of other good reps, but like, it's just such a slow release. They take all the time in the world, and this just doesn't fly in like a live game. And then great at like job one-handed interception. Just very confused by. Though it's probably my least favorite part is watching some of the releases. I think another player who's looked pretty good. We got. This is someone I think the Dolphins could potentially be interested in if they wanted to add like a size at receiver to play like X. He also played big slot. He's got good short area quickness. He understands how to run routes. He doesn't always create a ton of separation, but he's good in contested situations. Ball starting low and away there, but like you can see the route. That's Jaden Higgins, Iowa State, if I didn't say it. I also think that's the Louisville quarterback who apparently looked pretty good. I haven't watched his film yet, so I don't know anything, but definitely check it out. I'm just tired of watching quarterback film, honestly. I've honestly almost given up because most of the quarterbacks are just rough. That Lampkin, yeah. Willie Lampkin's, dude, I mean, he would fit what the Dolphins do. It's just, I think he's probably a center at the next level. Apparently Harold Finn Jr. had a pretty good day. I wanted to show this real quick. I mean, I would say he won the route late, like wasn't the cleanest early. Fannin's a really tough one. Like I've seen people be kind of down on him. The only reason I haven't been as high on him is because I don't love him for the Dolphins, because I do think he is what you would be want. Like if you needed to replace Jonnu Smith, then you would go after a Harold Fannin, because you're not that. I know he's stiff and he's like, but I think he's got some great straight line explosiveness. He's good with the ball in his hands. He's good at the catch point. And he's tough. It's just he's not an inline guy. And I think the Dolphins need a true inline tight end. Now, if he were to fall in the draft and he was best player available at some point, like, then, throw a dart. But I still think Fannin's going to have a good career as like a H-back F tight end type, which is what you have already in Jonnu Smith. Here's who I would draft for guard if they're Booker, Campbell, and Banks, and round goes able. Yeah, I like Higgins for the Dolphins but like for me, Higgins is a probably early day 3 guy. So if it's like good value, I like Higgins. I think that type of player is something that the Dolphins could use. Bigger body receiver. He plays as like a true X. He can get open. He can make some contested situations. I also think he's a pretty smart player as well. No, to be fair, guys, if from in the last like 5 drafts, the Dolphins. I saw the thing. There was 3 teams that have drafted 5 O-linemen in the last 5 drafts. 4 or 5 drafts, whatever it was. There's 3 teams that have drafted 5 O-linemen in the top 100. And then in the second group, there was like 6 or 7 teams that have drafted 4 in the top 100, and one of them was Miami. So the Dolphins have been drafting more O-linemen in the top 100 than most teams. And there was 2 drafts where we didn't have any picks. There was 2 drafts where there was 2 drafts where we only had like 1 pick in the top 100. So, it's not like we don't draft O-linemen. I actually think we draft a decent amount of O-linemen. Now, do we draft the right ones? Not necessarily. I don't think the problem is the amount. It's the quality. Yeah. My favorite big body receiver is Jack Besh for Miami. Like value wise, play style wise, Jack Besh is my guy. I've seen people. I saw Bookie Brooks had us drafting Booker. I don't think Booker's a bad pick, but I just don't see him being best player available for me at it, like no matter how the draft plays out, because I think Booker's like more in like the 20-ish range. So it wouldn't be like a crazy reach or anything, in my opinion. But I just think there's better players you could potentially get. I think Booker's solid. I just think I'd rather go guard on day 2. To me, I think the ideal situation is going guard and free agency, 1 guard to start. That's like a solid level player, and then getting like a guard on day 2, and then just taking, regardless of position, best player available on day 1. No, I like Booker. I think 13 is a slight reach. I would rank Booker in like the 20s of this draft. Like, I don't have my exact rankings done yet, but like I know Booker is in that range. Plus, I'd rather just, if we're going to go lineman, I'd rather take one of the tackles that could potentially play guard, because I think a lot of those tackles are just higher level players, and they give you that versatility. And I think a lot of them can transition to guard. Not all of them, though. Not all the first round. Like, I think like Connerly is just a tackle. Simmons is just a tackle. But I think like Campbell, Banks, those guys could play guard and tackle. Let's see. I think this is from yesterday, but this is like the better view of it, what they got from practice. Mac McWilliams, 1-on-1. This is one of my underrated guys. You can just see the quickness, good foot quickness, versatilities, fake jamming, and then look at the anticipation on the inbreaker. Just gets hands on, and you can see him undercutting the in the whole time. He feels it, and then makes a play at the catch point. And he's a good zone guy too. I really like Mac McWilliams. He's not the biggest. I mean, he's not like super small, but he's not the biggest guy. But I love like scrappy, physical corners that are willing to, get hands on in the route. Also mixing up some nuance. Like I love he's willing to jam, but like throwing a fake jam in a 1-on-1 drill. Love that little hesitation. Shows us that he's willing to try some different moves. Yeah. But it looks like, just more like, here's Fannin again. Looks like Fannin had a much stronger day. And you can see, like, he's got, like, that initial explosiveness is impressive. And while I do think, like, he has stiff hips and he has some weird movements, like, it's hard to deny that production. It's just, Miami-wise, he would not be my top option at that position. And he's solid at the catch point, clearly. Do you think Greer's better at getting DBs late in the draft? Honestly, he might be at his best getting DBs as UDFAs. Because I feel like we usually add a DB UDFA like every year that makes the team, like Storm Duck, Bonner, Kader Kohu. I don't think, here's my, like, I know people are like very, like, I'm not like, I personally would have fired Greer, but I'm not as like negative Greer as some people are. Like, people think Greer's no like talent evaluation. I don't think his problem is necessarily talent evaluation. Like last year, I thought the evaluation they had of free agency in the draft was pretty good. I thought they added good talent across the board. The problem wasn't the talent they added, it was the positions they attacked and the ones that they decided to ignore. So it's just like how they built the team composition is where I mostly had a problem. Not necessarily the talent that they added, even though they've had misses. But if you look at most GMs, they have their misses. I actually think Greer's more of like a middle of the pack GM, but I would move like, but when you're a middle of the pack GM, you should not get this long, you know? That's kind of an issue. It's just he's gotten enough time to where it hasn't worked out. The NFL is typically a not for long, the not for long league. Looking at a Restrepo touchdown here. Obviously, Restrepo, Tez Johnson, all those small receivers, I don't think Dolphins necessarily need them. But if they were to fall in the draft, once you get to day 3, they fall in the draft to day 3, those guys shouldn't be there. Best player available, take them. Why not? Especially if you already got your big... Because if you're thinking about... Because I'm thinking about how the team is right now. What if they go into free agency and they get a bigger body receiver? And that sort of gets taken care of. Then I'm not against taking maybe one of the smaller guys, especially if you were able to, especially if like you traded Tyreek. But yeah, I think the reason they took Patrick Paul last year is they looked at this class and it's not the strongest offensive line class. Like last year's tackle class was much better than this year's tackle class. And tackle is now it's not one of the main needs for Miami. They have their starting tackles. Even if Armstead retires, like Patrick Paul and Jackson, I think will be their starting tackles. And in this system, we've talked about it, like you don't need to be the greatest pass protector in this system because of all the jump setting they do and because of all the play action they use to slow down pass rushers. You just need to be like very athletic and physical in the run game, which both of those guys are. JT's good. Yeah, Mason Taylor's a good fit. I would say Arroyo is not necessary. I really like Arroyo as a prospect. It's just he's more of a route running, press the seam tight end. He has the size to play as an inline tight end, but like I haven't really seen him get in line and block that much on the film. So like that's why I'm not necessarily super high on my Arroyo for the Dolphins, even though I think he's a damn good player. This tight end class is so good. Like I've been saying, that's why I think they should, instead of trying to force the tight end that maybe he's not the perfect fit, they can get another guy like Taylor, Helm, Warren, who are more guys that can play inline. Linebackers who caught your eye? Yeah, I thought out of the linebacker group, there wasn't a ton. I do like Bassa, like you said. I like him in... he's a lot of this is happening nowadays where converted like safeties. He came into college as a safety and converted to linebacker. And a lot of those guys are doing that now. Like Henley for the Chargers, who was a very good player this year. And someone else, but he's good in coverage. I like his coverage skills. He's got some speed, and he can definitely carry some things down the field. I feel like he's still developing his instincts and feel versus the run, but there's definitely something to work there with. I thought the Georgia kid looked pretty good too. Munden Jr. Demetrius Knight as well is not a bad name that was at the Senior Bowl. Lindenberg from Minnesota. Not super like top end guys, but those were kind of the guys there. Also, Justin Barron, he's another one of those guys that was like, he's a linebacker safety hybrid, plays a bunch of special teams, probably a late day 3 guy that's intriguing. He blocked well yesterday, did he? I haven't seen a single clip of him blocking. I don't think I've seen I've only seen a couple clips of any tight ends, so it seems like people have been hyping up like Walter Nolan. Some other people I saw get shouted out for like standouts. This was from Kyron Samuels, who's a pretty smart guy. He had Jonah Monheim, Marcus Bowe. Nice to see Bowe because I saw clips of Bowe struggling the first 2 days. It seems like Bowe had a bounce back, which is nice to see. Ty Robinson, Darius Alexander, and Aeneas Peebles. All 3 D linemen I really like. All very different players too. D-line is very solid. That's why I'm really not on the D-line in round 1 train. I'm like, I think you can get some quality D-line. Plus, I don't think any of the D-line would be best player. If there was a D-line best player available at 13, which it might be on Miami's board, but I don't think it would be for me. Also looks like Sebastian Castro had a pretty quality day. Here he is in coverage. He's just a very like, that's his first fan into like, love the one. He kind of gets beat at this point with hand fighting and like he creates a little separation there, but no panic. And look at the recovery to knock that ball out. No panic is such a big part. I don't think he's the most athletic player, the safety out of Iowa, but he's super instinctive. Just a very like solid level player. Probably goes day 3 if I had to guess. But I think he had a strong day. Also, just love watching Tez Johnson run routes. Like he definitely takes a little bit longer than he should, but if you watch his film, Tez Johnson doesn't do this in actual games. Like take that long to run his routes. Like sometimes he might take his time, but this guy understands like the pace, the tempo, and is so quick. Like he has such quick twitch, so shifty. Like I know he's 156. I think he's going to be a good NFL player. If he stays healthy, which maybe he doesn't stay healthy because of his size, but like I think he plays bigger than his size. Like he has pretty good play for a guy that's 156. His play strength is not that bad. How do you rate Powell's hand placement and arms? His arm length is not good. His arm length is probably the biggest problem for him right now when it comes to playing tackle. Because I think everything else points to him playing tackle except his arm length. And then his hands, I think, can be inconsistent at times because of the lack of arm length. But like he has showcased some very like high level technical savvy with his hands though as well. When he's able to not go maybe against a super long armed guy. Are you for trading Tyreek? I'm not against it. I think especially if you get good value. Obviously, Tyreek's still a very good player, and he still would be a valuable asset to the team. It's just I also am kind of in the mode of like I think the Dolphins need to kind of change their identity on offense to being more physical, being a little more run heavy, and I think you don't necessarily need like with what they were doing. Tyreek and Waddle in the field both are obviously helpful at the same time, but I think you can be just fine having one of them, and because they're very similar skill sets. And if there's anyone in the NFL that could potentially give you a Tyreek level skill set, the closest thing is Waddle. So you kind of already have that replacement on the roster. You just need to build out the other stuff as well, like interior line, Y tight end, Yeah, it looked like Bao was struggling in the early days, but it looks like he played much better today, which is nice to see. But here's Bassa versus Ollie Gordon rushing the passer. I think if he's playing like as a pass rusher and versus the run, he's much better when he can play just hard downhill. Because I don't think he's like a work laterally, scrape over the type, read it linebacker. That's not really his game. So either have him blitz downhill or drop deep into coverage. That's where he's going to bring more value to a team. I think another player who's made a name for themselves, Marcus Yarns, Delaware running back. Look at the shifty running. He is one of the fastest players in this running back class. If the Dolphins didn't have Achane and Wright, I think McDaniel would be all over a guy like this. Like he is a pure outside zone, like absolute burner. Like he's going to pull away. Like his film is just not always consistent, but when he hits a hole, like he is gone. It's just we don't need that type of back, but he is another player to know. Here's a fun rep. Zabel and Marcus Bow play side rep here. Zabel climbing to the next level, getting off to a linebacker. We get to see Bow have to like work around this edge because they're like working a pin pull concept. So he has to get around and then he's able to adjust, find the DB. Really good job with his hand usage to adjust and now he's just using positioning and he's able to cut him off for them to capture the edge. And I believe that's the Virginia Tech running back I was talking about earlier. But Zabel, good job climbing the second level. Both get their cutoffs and throw it on bodies. The outside zone south or pin pull concepts, always nice to see people working like laterally, especially when you're looking for what Miami would want. Also, one of my guys, love Mason Taylor, man. Mason Taylor is a just rock solid tight end. I feel like he doesn't have any like big weaknesses. I feel like he does everything like pretty well. You can see the movement skills. Like he is a fluid mover. He's got good size, very strong hands at the catch point. He makes a lot of clutch catches. He's a good red zone threat. He can block, run block, pass block, both at solid levels. Can get open if necessary. Like he understands how to create separation with like his physical tools. His size, no, he's better built than Gesicki. Gesicki was just tall. He didn't have any like weight to him. He was like super lean lower half. Dolphins need the anti-Gesicki. Yeah, and Taylor is only 20 years old, which is awesome. Raheem Rocket Sanders is like another bigger back, but it's just tough to watch a lot. Some of the bigger backs just don't have like a lot of burst, and I think he's one of those guys. And I really value some burst. Yeah. I mean, Gesicki is not a bad player. It's just for what McDaniel wants. Gesicki's like probably the worst. That's why they let him go, and he never didn't have the most success in that 1 year he was under McDaniel. It's because of his fit was so bad. Because he is a seam threat, stretch the field type of tight end, win down the field and jump ball. Dolphins want more of like a mix of like, think of what George Kittle does for San Francisco with the blocking, physicality, run after the catch. That's like the ideal tight end for what the Shanahan system wants. And they have a kind of part of that in Jonnu, except he doesn't do the blocking, but he has the yak ability. But we want like an inline guy. Here's also my guy, Jack Besh. This is both of my guys, and pretty good rep from both of them. Jack Besh versus Jacob Parrish. Parrish plays this well. Besh gives him a move, but Besh, he can win. He can be a jump ball threat if he's not getting open. I like how Parrish plays it initially. Like he stays patient, he stays square, he's in a good spot. Besh is giving him multiple moves, but physicality at the catch point, able to track it, make an adjustment, 2 feet in bounds. Both dogs. Does Rocket have long speed? I mean, he should at least have something if his name's Rocket. I don't know. I just watch him and he looks like he takes a while to get going. And I don't know. I haven't watched him in a while, to be fair, but he was never my favorite player when I watched his film. Brandon Adams, I think against Royals. Royals another good player. But Adams, running the route for him. Brandon Adams, BJ Adams out of UCF. Pressman corner, good size and length. Basically, undercuts that, gets the interception. Lots of fun battles in these one-on-ones. Why does it keep going down like that? Another Mason Taylor clip. Boom, boom. Taylor running the route. Down the field, making a catch. Strong hands, man. He has such good hands because, like, this is a contested situation. Basically goes over him, able to hang on to it whole way to the ground. He made a lot of clutch catches at LSU, like, corner of the end zones, going up and get it. I think I posted a video. Was Mason Taylor the video I posted today for film breakdowns? I can't even remember because I made a lot of videos recently and I can't remember which one I actually posted. Yeah, Taylor was the video I posted today. So shout out Mason Taylor, son of Jason Taylor. How tall is Parrish? Parrish was pretty small. I think Parrish is probably gonna be a nickel at the next level. He's like 5'9". But I think he has enough ability and press, and I think enough recovery speed to also play outside if really needed. Speaking of Parrish, I got actually the next 2 clips I had loaded up were Parrish clips. Here he is in press. This guy is a press man-to-man fiend. Playing through the hook and swat technique. See him, staying square. Good feet. Once the guy commits the inside, flip your hips. Good reactive athleticism, and then you hook the outside hip. You want to hook them and then play through and swat. And he does it late too, because sometimes when you hook, you kind of turn the receiver. You don't want to turn them. If you turn them, that's where you get PI. He doesn't turn them at all. Just plays through the hands. Just absolutely textbook at the point of attack. And here's another rep. This is like Butler in the Super Bowl. This is basically the Malcolm Butler pick, where they try to, throw it underneath. He doesn't come away with the interception, but look at him just react to this. Closing burst, feel over the top, take a good angle, and then play violently through the catch point. That's why, sometimes, the smaller guys, I have no problem with a smaller guy if they play, with this sort of, level of violence at the catch point. Especially, DB or receiver. They're, good play strength type of situation. What is it saying? What is it saying? Okay, well. Cool. Yeah, Laporta. I think that's maybe why I like Helm and Taylor so much, is because Helm and Taylor are probably the 2 players in this class that remind me the most of Laporta, because I was a huge Laporta fan. Laporta was one of my favorite prospects in that class. I think he was the first player I made on a video on that year. And he was one of the guys I really wanted the Dolphins to draft. But I think that was the year we drafted Cam Smith right in the 2nd round. Yeah, Laporta was gone by the time we were picking. And we didn't have a 1st round pick, so never even had a chance, unfortunately. But yeah, I think Helm and Taylor are kind of in that same body type, same sort of fluid movements down the field. They're both reliable handed, both can block in line. Will Belton go to guard? I think so, yeah. Belton's not a bad shout in this class for the Dolphins. He had some inconsistencies on film, but he showed up at the Senior Bowl and I think made himself some money, played a lot more consistent. And I think he should get helped out by moving in to the interior where, some of those issues he had might go away. Here's another player who I thought looked pretty good. This will be a back and forth. And here he is versus Belton. And Belton was one of the reps he really lost. This is David Walker. Why do I keep forgetting if it's East? It's Eastern. He's oh my God, I forgot again what school he went to. He plays on the purple field. I'm going to look it up real quick because I know it's either Eastern Kentucky or some. David Walker. Boom. Central Arkansas. Not even Eastern. Central. I knew it was some location. But he is a very compact rusher. He's 6 foot but weighs over 250. And he's explosive and compact. He's got a lot of moves. He was so productive at Central Arkansas. Flies off the ball there. Then he works speed to power, just opening people up. He is a very good leverage player that combines his explosiveness with his power and has a very specific way to win. I feel like he's a guy that probably go later, a little later, because of him being at Central Arkansas. Here was like the one rep he lost, and I think this is a good example of like where length is helpful. And this versus, I think that's Ursery, right, from Minnesota. Ursery plays with independent hands, and look how like that that outside hand shooting to the like sternum of Walker just completely stonewalls him and throws him off his rep. Because Walker doesn't have the longest arms. And that was like one of the only reps he really like lost in these like one-on-one sessions for them, like actually truly lost. But like here you can see the power that he has. When he gets inside the chest, he's catching people off guard. Definitely a fan. This was like a lot of Walker's one-on-ones. There versus Bo. He was basically just beating everyone that he went against. That was another loss. I think, yeah, when he tried to work back to the inside. Here's another player that's kind of a smaller school. He's from Toledo, small school guy. Here's all of his like one-on-one reps. He was dominating. Jalen Rivers got absolutely worked here. I really like Alexander. He was someone I watched before the Senior Bowl. Very powerful at the point of attack. I think sometimes he was late off the ball that hurt his pass rushing, but he's very good at holding his own versus the run. But getting him to see like his violent hands, look at him hit that violent chop there and then rip underneath and then able to like open up his hips and bend towards the quarterback. Really like that. Another rep where he just opens the guy up, win with power, get to the quarterback. And he was doing it on the outside too. Like he's got, like here he loses the rep to Connerly. Connerly does a good job recovering. But like he's giving reps at the edge because he's kind of got like a tweener type build. But man, he's a good player. Constant, like high motor too. Beats Rivers. That was, I think, the first play shown. He was giving Rivers problem. Like even versus Ursery, man. Like look at him, like the initial pushback. Look at the pop in his hands. Gets low, like leverage, so he's winning the leverage battle. Lifts him up and then opens him up and able to continue to fight, work to the inside. Big fan of Alexander. Here he is beating Millam, throwing him to the ground. Yeah. Kind of beating Rivers again, crossing face. Just a lot of good reps from Alexander. Cal Krabs has been talking up Alexander all week. Yeah, I think I saw him talking about him on Twitter as well. But yeah, I'm a fan of Darius Alexander. He was someone I already had clips on, like before. Like there's a lot of players. I have probably like 20 players where I just already have clips like recorded, just so I can edit them together and then I can record a video on them. And Alexander's one of them. Also, apparently, I think his name's Danny Strigo, the Minnesota edge. He showed up like. I think he showed up on day 3 and he just started playing and he just started beating people out there, which is funny. And he's like an edge, but he also even gave like some D tackle reps. I don't have any clips of it, but that's just what was being reported. Like I'm dropping frames. Classic. I also heard like I saw Landon Jackson struggled in the first 2 days, but I heard that he had a much better day 3. And I know some people bowed out of day 3 that didn't, like, I think, like, Amos and, who else? Mike Green, players like that, like, they didn't even practice because they already, like, showed enough. Like Mike Green made himself pretty much a first-round lock and might even go, like, top 15. Because his film was really good, and they just wanted to see him go against a little higher-level competition. And he was absolutely bullying some people. Yeah, apparently Farmer had a strong day too. I haven't watched Farmer film either from Florida State. Nolan, yeah. Nolan was pretty dominant the first 2 days. And he made himself money. Because I know people are even talking, like I've seen fans of other teams talking him up, like I know like Niners fans wanted him at like 11. And I'm like, hey, I hope he goes before the Dolphins pick because he's not like my top choice at 13. As many guys that go that can get pushed up that not necessarily I don't want, it works for me. Even though I wouldn't be mad if it was Nolan. Just not my ideal pick. Those are the I don't think I've seen people compare Fannin to Gates, but yeah, that is wild. But yeah, this class is getting interesting. I got a lot of names here. Across the board, I think it's not that super high-end, top-end class. But also, you gotta... Yeah, Milam definitely struggled at the Senior Bowl, but I will say, film is king. You gotta take the Senior Bowl stuff, it's a part of the evaluation, but it's not the end-all, be-all. Like, I've seen people struggle at the Senior Bowl. I've seen people stand out at the Senior Bowl, and then the opposite happens in the league. So it's not the end-all, be-all for him, but yeah, it will definitely drop his stock. Yeah, I saw stocks for a while, but I think a lot of the recent ones we had, like Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks released one, and they had us taking Booker and I think Banks. Yep. Later, Dundee. Probably about to end anyways. Yeah, any final questions? Keep getting this error. Oh, looks like it's back. Started lagging for a while there. Anything about the draft? Anything Dolphins about? Did anything happen for the Dolphins? Can't remember. Anything recently that I never talked about? I don't know. I'm ready for the season to start, so it's almost February. So once we get past February, like you get into March, early March. Like I think it's pretty like in the first half of March is when free agency starts. So when that year starts, like a lot of things are gonna happen. Like gonna get to see where the direction the team goes. Maybe they make different moves. Sort of what they're prioritizing. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you